Water is life, and I wanted to know how we can cooperate to organize to heal the waters and have a shared connection through the right governance mechanisms and institutions to cooperate. Dreamer, imagining possible futures. By creating platforms and networks enabling young people to connect in flexible ways across boundaries. By embodying the change that I wish to see in the world by bringing young people together, by taking the knowledge that I learned from places like this and bringing it to my peers.
I think because it's really important to be part of these change makers, and it's really important to tell the government what we need to do and what are the needs of the communities. And I think that this is one of the roles as we as young people. Preservation. I think that they are the links between the government, the international organizations, and the local communities to give us the role and the voice of the water and the environment. I think with all my knowledge, with the capacities, with the communities, and with all the scientific bases.
Well, in my own opinion, what motivated me to engage in transboundary water cooperation is to find or to explore the solution that can resolve the conflicts over water in my country. Maybe raising awareness. Oh, well, organizations can organize maybe workshops and events to raise awareness among all the youth and to aware them more. Me, as a diplomatic person, my role is to collaborate and to connect with other youth network and to promote activities set up by youth to general public, to inform general public and thus reach a greater number of people. And of course, to promote the voice of the youth and the voiceless, maybe.
So what motivated me to enter into water cooperation and water diplomacy was how we connect or are connected through the water. So we have to share, and we have to find ways to share, not only with each other, not only with different countries, not only with different people, not only with animals and nature, but also to see how we can use the water together for all of us to thrive. And that's a big challenge. Water cooperation for me is connecting. I think what organizations can do to facilitate the role of youth in water cooperation and water diplomacy is to provide more space for human connections. So sometimes we are, and that is what I learned this week and from so many young people engaging in water diplomacy and water cooperation, is how important it is to connect and to really have time for each other and understand each other and learn what motivates us. And I think that is sometimes we give too little space for it, and I would urge organizations to give more space for young people to connect, both to them but also to each other. So I think young people are more and more connected, and it's also a very special group that is connected. We are very privileged. So often speaking the same language, speaking English or French, it's easy to connect. And I think there are also big groups that are not able to have these connections. So I think what young people can do, the young people like me, but also young people like the ones that were here this week, is to share our knowledge and to let people know how important it is to work on these kind of topics, but also to invite them to learn from us and us from them. And especially also lobby for space for young people who maybe not speak the language of the conference, but also to give them time to let their voice be heard.
What motivated me is actually they need to engage youth into water diplomacy. They need to create a new value in water, to think out of the box, not to think that water is there forever. It is renewable, but it needs to be conserved still. If it's not conserved, then it becomes non-renewable. So there's always need to preserve water from the inside the countries, so that the other countries do not suffer from our impacts, and of course the future generations, because today's leaders, today's children are tomorrow's leaders, and tomorrow's leaders are after tomorrow's grandfathers, or how we call it. I would say I have 6 words. I don't have 1 word.
1 word.
I'll try to put in 1 word. Can I put in 6 words? Because in 1 word, I would say impact. They can engage youth in discussion, in research, and of course use the energy that youth have in order to be able to carry out different activities and sensitize, most importantly, sensitize people, because people don't even know about water corporation. They feel like water is the problem of the government, whereas it engages organization, engages youths. They can contribute by being impactful. They can, impact of one, the action of all, and youths are not exempted. Impact of one, action of all.
What motivated me to enter into water diplomacy is because I believe that water doesn't have boundaries. So it only makes sense for us to cooperate transboundarily on a shared resource and a very complex problem. I would describe myself as an enabler, connector. I'm going to answer this for both, the third and fourth question. I believe that we need to enable spaces for young people who are researchers, entrepreneurs, scientists, social scientists, artists, to really be able to transcend political barriers that prevent transboundary cooperation in order to share, innovate, collaborate together so that we can address these transboundary problems that are very complex.
Actually, water scarcity is a global challenge, and when we are talking about water scarcity, we have to deal with it from a broader and holistic perspectives in order to reach effective solutions. And now we know that according to the Global Risk Report, the issue of water scarcity is now among the top 5 risks that are facing the whole planet. This needs more cooperation in order to be able to deal with this challenge. And as we say that it is a matter of survival, it is not an option. We have to deal now more than ever. We have to combine efforts and drive collective actions towards this important issue. Blue peace. I always believe that spontaneous face-to-face meetings, it helps to draw a vision towards our common future. So organizing workshops and conferences that bring together young people who are passionate to act for water from across the world, it helps to, we can say, to lay grounds for constructive dialogue and share knowledge in order to share our experience in our countries. We are in a journey. We have to face this big challenge. So we are talking about empowering young people. They are the future leaders, so it's very important to bring these young people together in order to share their vision, voice their concerns as well. I'm a journalist, and I always believe that the role of journalist is not just an observer, he is a problem solver, and we have to give voice to the voiceless, and we are the mirror of what is going on in the real world. So if you are talking about a water scarcity, it's our role to give it a priority, and we have to shed further light on the key challenges facing not only Egypt but the whole region as well. Okay.
I really like water. I like everything that is related to water. I like drinking water. I like watching movies about water. I like everything about water. That's why I think that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to really explore water more. And because I'm from Kazakhstan, in Central Asia, we have transboundary water problems, very, very relevant, very topical. And we have another generation expats, but unfortunately not that many younger generation expats. And I think there should be this generational transition of knowledge, and I thought that I would be very much helpful here. At the moment, I'm actually doing PhD. I'm PhD candidate at National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies. I'm researching transboundary water issues in Central Asia. I think at this moment, it's researcher. I think it's very much important to include youth in decision making, in discussion of different progress, in implementation too, and not just youth who are let's say very vocal, very visible internationally, who are organized in groups and so on, but also the young people who are coming from those areas, who live in those areas, who might not have the opportunities or the tools to express their opinions, but they do have their opinions and their say in Transboundary Water Corporation. I think as a young professional, one of the things is actually to participate in decision making and also try to really draw more attention to the youth problems, and not just the youth problems, as I said, who are very much visible, but also to those who are living in those locales, but also to bring maybe international community, policymakers, and try to organize some maybe organization, maybe events with those young people so that we can hear their opinions.
Thank you very much. My name is John Agwek. I'm the founder of African Youth for Development Organization based in South Sudan. Organization that work as a power vehicle to empower young people. On my motivations to attend the Youth for Water Diplomacy is actually the passions, the love towards how can young people play a big role in making sure that they are the role model for the generation to come, to make sure that the water situation in the whole world, as on transboundary countries, really put in place. Is the love that made me to be here. Well, I describe my roles beginning from my own commitment towards the water is the change maker, is what made me to be here. If the organization are working for youth could really empower youth in different way, they create platforms and also they do partnerings with the youth organization so that they will be able to empower other people, so the grassroots will be better, because like me now, I own organizations, but at time there is no partners, so it become hard for me to make sure I also extended the message that I want people to receive. So that's why I came up with an organization. It's a national NGO that is actually working to empower young people. So this is my own personal commitment to make sure that youth are involved in change making. And this is why I am taking this initiative every time, to make sure my commitment is first, and then I see and I say people who are also committed like me, so that we work together, join hands, and we'll be able to liberate people from the literally and also illiteracy that people are going through.
I did a water sector analysis in my bachelor degree of Tajikistan, and while doing so, I found out that it was more about like the overall relations in Central Asia and like the cooperation, or not cooperation, between the countries, which were the bigger problem rather than the problems that Central Asia itself had. So I think this was the beginning. In one word, I would say adaptive. I feel like working with youth is the first very good step in working on water cooperation itself. And but this is not something where they should stop. So just bringing all these stakeholders to the table, I think is very important. I feel like, for example, attending workshops like this, cooperating with all the people that we had here, and just bridging the knowledge and learning from each other.
In most of cases, the countries have main problem with transboundary water management system. And this is problem not only in water sector, also it can be military problem, military conflict among them. And which problem I faced in my country, it is problem military conflict with Armenia and Azerbaijan. And as we are downstream country, our water resource is up to upstream countries. Their behavior with nature, their behavior with water resource. And Because of this military conflict between these countries, we can't manage our water resource. We can't manage water in our occupied areas. That's why I think I came to here, share my experience, share my problems, and maybe find some solutions for us. I think I can raise awareness and top to bottom, bottom to top. And my point of view, as I am hydrologist, as I am climatologist, I think that firstly, I must learn physical features and hydro regime and climate conditions, and also additional, I need to learn river settlements, people living here, water using, and then I can find solutions for this river basin. In my position as I am hydrologist and climatologist, and I am youth, I can cooperate with water management sectors, and I can raising awareness. I can work as hydrologist, as climatologist also.
As a journalist and a youth, I have a role to play, as we know that Nile Basin region is facing the dispute of water allocation, water management. That's why I saw, like me as a youth, as a journalist, I should be more focusing in water diplomacy, on pushing people for more cooperation, for how to be cooperated in the water, how to be thinking about the whole region, not individual countries focusing on their own interests. Essential. The organization have a big role to play, as the youth are the one to be used as firewood to like go online and say Egypt is doing this, Ethiopia is doing this, South Sudan is doing. The youth are the one in the front of the conflict, are the one framing everything. Behind them we know the security organs are there, the politicians are there, but those who are in the mirror we can see are the youth. That's why the youth organization has a different and a big role to change this situation and to change this image. I have my tools as journalist. I have media organization I can walk through. I have youth organization I can walk through. I have other platforms like youth centers, like community centers. I can pass my message within this platform, and I think I'm doing it and it's going through. And now our youth in South Sudan or in Nile Basin region is different, quite different, as different organizations working in this place now are pushing for more cooperation. So my role is essential and I have the tools.
So I come from India, wherein we have not just transboundary issues, but also issues of water between two states. And that, when it sort of gets twined with these social and political tensions, it has created a lot of issues in what I've seen till now. And that really pains, because you see so much of loss of life, property, resources, and it's quite painful. I think it was that was a motivation for me to look at, how we can actually cooperate at water and not just fight over it. I look at myself as an amplifier, wherein I'm trying to get the voices of both the heard and the unheard out into the world. I think they play a very important role in mediating, because a lot of times there's quite a disconnect between what the youth thinks and what the decision makers think. So maybe they can actually provide this platform for exchange, not just of knowledge, but also efforts and innovations, and make it more joint. Well, I believe the key to any of my contribution is being more aware, being more mindful of what I'm doing. Because when I'm aware of what I'm doing, I actually create the space for innovation and maybe be inclusive of everything. So that's how I see myself.
So in the context of Central Asia, since we have some of our countries are upstream and some of our countries are downstream, it's essential to have transboundary cooperation. And as a young representative, I believe we have a lot to share, and for our voice to be heard, I think it's important. Empowerment. Organization working with youth. It's motivation. It's providing strengths and opportunities for youth, and for youth to believe that they're supported and they could reach their goals. I think it's with inclusiveness. So it's to reach out to different kind of representatives as well as youth. And it's important to bring innovative, fresh ideas. So I think with our creative minds, our input is quite high.
I love water. For me, it's a sea of knowledge. And the fact that many disciplinaries come to one field to work together in order to reach a solution that's sustainable and innovative is very interesting, because you get to learn new things every day, and with every experience, you end up with different results and different outcomes each time. I would love to be remembered as the person who connected the right people together in order to reach solutions. I believe that they can play an important role not only in advocating for youth participation in decision-making and negotiations, but also in preparing these youth for taking these roles by providing safe spaces for discussions, exchange of ideas, building cooperation models that they can apply. I believe that understanding and accepting, having an open mind to accept different opinions and positions from other parties, but on the same time analyzing these opinions in order to understand the root causes and the needs and the motivations behind them, helps us to be ambassadors for the peace and to reach middle solutions that do not compromise one party over the other.
So what motivated me to engage in water diplomacy or hydro diplomacy is, first of all, as an Egyptian, the Nile is a big part of our culture, our national entity, how we identify ourselves as Egyptians, and our relation to water is through the Nile, and as it's our only source of water, so it has a special place in our hearts. And I think that's why it's so important, especially nowadays when we have a lot of those issues about transboundary and conflicts between nations and between Ethiopia and Sudan and all the other Nile countries. I think it's very important to bring new, fresh perspectives to the debate. Also, not just technical and scientific, but also more other kind of knowledge like social sciences. So that's what drew me to the topic. I would say researcher, yeah. Well, I think those organizations can contribute by, first of all, engaging more youth in the topic in general, like promoting more engagement of youth and participation in those big tables where we have highly diplomats of only old people that have a certain background. So I think with engaging more youth, we can have more open discussions and even lead to more new and innovative solutions. First of all, I think lobbying is key. So it's always good to lobby. It's always good to fill the role that diplomats and try to fit into the conversations and the arenas where diplomacy is happening and water cooperation is happening, and just try to push forward to be in those places, and then you can reach and send out your message.